Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Success Thursday, the big question of the week, of course, this week with Esther Schmit. Hey Esther, welcome back.
Hi Vasco, good to be back again.
So we will explore today what success is for us as Scrum Masters, of course. But before we dive into that, we do want to talk about retrospectives, that tool that we use to try and get teams to find their success as well as for us to find our success. So share with us, Esther, what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
Well, in all honesty, I don't know if I have like a favorite format. What I think is more important is to change the formats. So not to repeat the same thing over and over again, because that's when people will get kind of numb. So I think that is more important. I think that is my favorite, is actually to change almost every retrospective. I will change a format, and I will use, of course, a lot of tools and fun things like dice or cards, all kinds of things to get the team members get them to talk in a different way as well, to motivate them to talk, because that's sometimes it's very difficult in retrospectives to get everybody talk and say what they really think, and I think that is important. And then if you do it with many different formats, it will surprise them as well. And so they're like, oh, okay. Oh, so I think that's good. And also to discuss different topics, not just do the, good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to call it, stop, start, continue. I don't know, the 4 L's. There's so many like that. But like I said, I like to use different fun things like dice, if they were all together, of course. I use story cubes a lot. Well, not a lot, but I like to use those either with to talk about themselves, because I think especially in the beginning it's important for team members to get to know each other, and they will always introduce themselves in exactly the same way, of course. And with dice like that all of a sudden there's like a Christmas tree on it, and then you'll find out that somebody really doesn't like Christmas. Or there's a castle on it, and they're like, yeah, I love to visit castles. That is really, when I go on a holiday, I love to visit castles. I really had that in one of my teams. And then everybody's like, really? Wow, that's cool. Me too. And like, so there were 2 people in the team, and they worked for quite some time already, and they didn't know from each other that they really loved visiting castles. And you would never get that out of people. So, and that's why I like using different tools like that. Different ones.
Absolutely. And talking about mindset like we did on Tuesday, it changes the mindset when we change the tool. So it's also important for us to kind of listen and see, okay, what mindset is now prevailing, and does it, do we need a change? Do we need to just try something else and get a different atmosphere in the team? Because, the projects change. Sometimes we're in a crunch mode. Sometimes we're just in creative mode, and we need different mindsets for those different stages of the work that we do. So yes, that was the retrospective. And of course, we do this retro because we want to help teams succeed, and of course, ourselves also succeed. That's the big question of the week, of course, Esther. So share with us, what's your definition of success for a Scrum Master?
I think definition of success of a Scrum Master is very difficult to actually set. I think it's, as a Scrum Master, you need to set your own goals and then work towards and with those goals, and decide and have a retrospective with yourself to see if you how your goals are going. So have a sprint or, and a retrospective with yourself on how you can succeed as a Scrum Master.
When you think about having a retrospective with yourself, like, do you have a specific process in mind? Like, are there questions you ask yourself on a regular basis? Do you have, like, do you have any ideas of what would be a good frequency? Like, how do you organize that for yourself, Esther?
Well, I start asking questions myself. I do have a big whiteboard here in my own office, and I will start there sometimes. Okay, so what is my success? So when have I been successful in maybe retrospective formats? So I want to use different retrospective formats, especially in the beginning that was difficult because you would do the standard one. And then you can say, okay, well, I see other Scrum Masters use different formats. All right, so what is my, when am I successful with, and then, okay, well, I will use in the next half year or so, make it smart, of course, in the next half year, I have used at least 10 different formats. And then, you can every month or every quarter, you can look back and check yourself on how you've been doing on those goals. I also like to have goals seen. So I have also in front of me, it's not my whiteboard because behind me, but in front of me, I have these things as well as goals that I really want to accomplish. I think that helps in succeeding, and ask others what they expect of, ask your team what they expect of you as a Scrum Master. Because ask for feedback.
When you think about that, like I was actually going to say also something in that regard. I was going to ask, like, do you include other Scrum Masters in your own definition of Scrum Mastering, of success for a Scrum Master? But how do you do that though? Like, okay, asking for feedback is important, and perhaps we should even do it quite frequently. But asking for feedback indicates for me that, okay, there's a context for their feedback, like, whatever, like a release or some event that we facilitated. But how do you ask for feedback when it comes to defining what success is? Do you have some ideas on that?
Good question. No, not necessarily. I do ask, for example, at the end of a retrospective, okay, how did you like this retrospective? Or was this a valuable retrospective? Or how did you like the format? So I do ask at the end if this was really valuable for them or not. If it's like, good return on investment, time of investment. So asking them and also seeing how they would respond. I remember at some point with those dice, somebody had a question mark and they're like, I wonder why we're doing this. So he was the first to go, and he's like, I really wonder why we're doing this. They thought it was so childish. Of course, these dice are actually for children to make up stories, but still. And in the end, he came back and he's like, that was actually quite nice. So that's what I did ask at the end, of course, saying, okay, well, so how did you like it at the end? You were wondering at the beginning what this was like, what we're doing this for. We've done it now. And then he was like, I need to come back on that. So I did like it. So it was nice to get to know other people. And I think that is, for yourself, I feel that as a little success, that at first they were really hesitant to do this. And then at the end, they really liked it. So I think that, that's a small success for me, that I actually, get them to enjoy these things, and also to get, it's also a small success for me if I notice that somebody, for example, who doesn't talk too much or often, because sometimes there are very quite introvert persons as well, that they start talking about things and about themselves. And I find that as a small success as well for me, but also for the team, that I managed to do that. And I think those are important as well, to have a small success instead of like having a big one. So what is your small success? Get somebody to actually talk, or to get them to like something. That is very successful as well. But sometimes we think too big. So make it small.
Yeah, that's a great tip, by the way. What are your small successes? Make sure you pay attention to those. Great tips. Thank you for sharing that, Esther.
You're welcome.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.